So Nancy, what was it that finally made you decide it was time to write this book?
Yeah, come stand up.
Well, for a long time, I was amazed at the things that God has done here, and realizing that the stories were going to get lost if we didn't write something. And then after we moved across the road, and I'd look out my kitchen window over there and look over here and see this farm, I was thinking, you know, God did so much here, and He needs to get the glory for that. It's something that none of us wrote ourselves. We all wrote it, and I tried to get people to write little stories, people who had been involved in Wellspring to write little stories. And I maybe got 2, but I know there are a lot of stories here that you experienced where, just fun things, but things that you saw God do, that just working together as a community was. And everybody joined the community. You know, there's when you have a barn and it's not very pretentious and there's lots of work to be done, you form a community because you have to get it done. It has to be done. And God would bring the people that needed to do it and who had the certain gifts that were needed, and He did it. So I needed to write that story. And I felt God nudging me. And I thought last night, as I was going to sleep, it's kind of like, how can I explain it? It's kind of like what C.S. Lewis called the great dance. You know, okay, I know God has a story He wants to have written, but He's not going to write it. I have to will to join Him in doing that. And so this is the result of the great dance, this book, because we did it together.
Well, Nancy has this concept of practicing the presence of God. And so as a result of that, she's always looking for God in her daily life and seeking to relate to Him in her daily life. And so I think the book really grew out of that because she saw a lot of things that happened here at the farm that were evidence of the presence of Christ. It was evidence of God working and doing things that we hadn't expected or couldn't have anticipated. And so when she saw all of those things, she said, somebody needs to tell this story so that God gets the credit and the glory for all that He's done. And she realizes this is just how God is writing in her life, but everybody has a story. Everybody has ways of relating to God. And I think part of this is her encouraging people to be able to say, well, what is God doing through my life? And what story would God like to write with my life? And so I see it as an encouragement of that also.